Here's a video just to show some Lanoguard use. I'm going to use it later when I reassemble. I've got a flat tyre here, so I'm going to, when I put it back on, reapply it to the chain, and just generally around all the areas I can use the moto grease and the protective spray, which actually you can see I use anyway, but I'll show you what that looks like. So after changing this flat tyre, I'm just giving it a bit of a service as well. This is an old Green Lane, this is 1996 bike. I had a 13 tooth cob on it, now put in a 17, and you can see this is a fantastic place for Lanoguard Moto grease, which I'm going to do in a second. This is Moto grease spray, and this is the Moto grease in this pot here. This is the gear spline. I'm just going to put a little bit on here because you can see, having taken that one off, someone before me never did anything with it. This is a bike newish to me. I haven't serviced this before, so I'm going to do that. I've already done the chain with Moto grease, and I'll finish it with Moto spray and run a rag around it. But I'm just going to use a little bit of this spray here, as you can see, and I'll also spray on the on this chain and probably everywhere actually, but for bike protection. But I'll show you that in a second. This is just the sprocket holder. I'm sure there's a more technical name for that actually, but I'm just using the Moto spray just because it stops the galvanic corrosion or electrolysis that makes this rust. Everything rusts if you don't give some sort of protection, so I'm just going to do a little bit on that and get on to the next thing. Just dip that in a little bit, only a tiny bit, put that in there, and as I do for all the things, every nut and bolt I put together now, because they can tighten up really nicely, but they'll obviously come off when we want them to. So some people have asked me how I clean the chain. You can see this was treated before, and it's all lovely, and it's non-fling off and really well protected. But I'm just going to do it again while I've got the bike in bits and take the wheel off to change the puncture. The way I do that is to just put some on the chain, let it soak in a bit like this. Not ideally not on your foot, and then wet the cloth with the same stuff. And because it's thinner, you can use it to clean the chain from its the older stuff, perhaps you put on a month or two ago, and just run it through. As you probably know, just run the chain through the cloth, and you can see it's a way to clean it up as well as prepare it for the second treatment, or your usual treatment, however regularly you do it. Every month or 2 or 3, according to how much you use it, and it will be ready in a second when I've run that through a few times. So after just a spray with this and a wipe through with this and clean it all off, you can see that's been cleaned. So now I'm going to put a bit of this grease on, Moto grease. You can work it in your fingers or warm it up a little bit. I can't do holding the camera at the same time, but you rub it all in to here. You can warm it up if you wish, and it will be a lot thinner. You can paint it on, which is quite cool. And then I'll finish this off the camera, and then once I've done that and work that in, I then get this and I spray over the top like that, and I rub it all in, and that's the end of it, and let it dry. And I think you'll be quite surprised at how that is once you've done that, and how it rides, and how it lasts and doesn't fling off, and how the chain doesn't get corroded, and it doesn't stretch because of the way it does it. It's not petroleum left on it, it's all natural, which has got an affinity to the chain and won't let it stretch. It'll actually protect it and lubricate more, reducing the friction coefficient, so the bike should ride differently. That's nice. My reasonably quick chain treatment. So you can take it off and do it quickly. I didn't intend to do the chain today, but I thought you guys might like to see how I would do it. I'm sure there's other ways of doing it, and I know a couple of customers do it a lot more thorough as well. But this chain is done very well and in very good condition. It's just a green laning bike that I use. So we'll reassemble it all. I'll take a picture of it when it's finished. This is just a moto spray. This is a green lane KLR 250. It's in reasonable condition. It's 25 years old. But I'm just going to show you, I use it in here, look, just to keep everything in good nick underneath there. Obviously I've already done the chain, but I will do most other things. Yeah, just as you can see in there, and on the exhaust as well, you can use it. It burns off on the downpipe where it's super duper hot. But anyway, you get the gist of it. Use it wherever you want to use it to protect stuff. Nice, it's just a thinner spray. But yeah, I've used the grease on the chain and this spray as well. But I was just really focusing on examples of protecting things such as shocks, minor shocks, and so on. Hope that's useful. I'm also just using a bit of a spray just to clean this wheel up, because it's a great cleaner, and then when you polish it off, and that gives a protective layer for the weather and any road grime or any fling off that you do get. Although, as you know, this is a low fling off, but if you do get any, it comes off nicely. So there you are. You can see, as I was saying, I just used that on a rag I was using for the chain, just to clean up the dirt and grime and any road fling, etc., and give it a protective coating. And you can you can get it on the tyre, no problem at all. It actually makes them nice and black, and the core substance of lanolin and the other properties in there nourish the rubber, don't damage it, so no problem with that at all. It's all right for me. Moto spray to clean up the wheel before reassembling with the chain lube I've just done. I also just wipe the cloth, get the cloth damp, wipe it around all the spokes, because these are sort of new to me-ish bike, and it's 25 years old, but they clearly need a little coating, and that will make them look better and push the rust off over time. But obviously exercise caution. This is a brake drum because it's an old bike with its discs. Exercise caution because it's friction reducer lubricant, so beware of that as well. This is the front sprocket casing. It's got all the associated crud in it from old grease before I had it, and I'm just going to clean that out and then do a little dusting of Lanoguard. Use a bit of the Moto grease spray just to damp that down. It will dissolve the grease a bit, and then clean that all out, and I'm going to put it all back together. Okay, so that's all cleaned up. So with this protected, I'm going to now put that back together, and I should finish the job. The engine, not everybody wants to do it. It depends if you keep the bike outside or not, but I'm just going to spray the engine. You can see here, I know it's good for it. I'm happy to get that protected, and it won't burn off unless it's sort of 450 degrees above. Even if it doesn't really matter. And that's about it. Anything that you do get on there, if you want, you can just rub it over lightly, just to kind of, basically, if you can see it, wipe it. If you can't, leave it, that's fine. And if you can't see it, just leave it, let it drip dry. Depends, if your bike's really neat and tidy, obviously clean cloth, but you can see what that does. That'll protect it for the season. just done this side of the engine. You can see I've got it on the exhaust there. It will burn off a bit on the downpipe, but not much. My downpipe is stainless steel, as you see there, so I'm not too worried about it. This bit I am, and it keeps it really well. If it's 450 degrees or more, it'll burn off, but it won't on anything else. I've just got to reassemble it all. Okay, in reassembling, just because of my puncture, I've also got brake drums there to put back in. I'm just going to use a bit of the moto grease on the spindle. I won't use it on bearings because it's not ideal for high-speed bearings, but everything else is good. Okay, I do use a little bit of Lanoguard grease on here, just that it's, although I say not high-speed bearings, but this is the seat, and that corrodes because it's different metals, so that stops that nicely. Stop it from doing that. This is a little toolbox tin of Lanoguard, which is really handy because it's with you wherever you are. When you're doing a major job, I guess you have a pot, but not always, so I use that quite a lot. So I'm just going to, before I assemble that, I'm just going to put a smidgen in there. Again, it's just seating, it's not for the high-speed bearings. It's just because it's seating. You can see in different metals and made it corrode where this has never had that done before, because this is a new to me bike, relatively new, and I'm just doing it on there just so that it comes apart easily, doesn't seize in and doesn't ruin the part. That's about it really. Into there. So yeah, more Lanoguard Moto grease on these, so it doesn't corrode or clump up. That's the next job, which is here, and then we're probably pretty much there. Tighten up the chain, bit of Moto grease on here, so it doesn't dry out and it stays easy to adjust over time, and we're away. Okay, so that is that. She's back together. Lots of Lanoguard Moto spray and Moto grease. Change the front cog, front sprocket from 13 to 16 to make it taller gearing. Had to get a new tube, bit of a mission, change the tyre, bit of fairy liquid. And yeah, you can see I've put Moto spray. I've used the lubricant, the grease, Moto grease, on everywhere that you would use grease, apart from high-speed bearings, but certainly in seating them. And then I've used the spray, as you can probably see, it's sort of dried now, but I've used it all over the engine just to protect it. I've done the whole chain with, cleaned it with the spray, and then lubed it with the grease by hand, which you can see earlier in the video how to do that. And then finally sprayed it, which I've just finished there, and obviously mined all of the any brakes or discs, anything. Yeah, so that's about it. Protected the whole thing. So it's an old one, this reg. So I'm now going to look after it. It's newish to me, so I just want to keep it. I want to keep it. That's what Lanoguard's very good at, keeping things. So I'm now going to fire it up and just make sure it's all right, and you'll see the Lanoguard. So that's the Lanoguard on it. That's just pretty much all closed off. The protection is still there, so that's it. And just having taken it for a 20-minute spin, that's brilliant. As you see, no fling off on the chain. Chain still looks lovely. Engine's all protected still, and I'm going to switch the Lanoguard Moto and my tools for a beer, like everyone should after you've sorted your bike out. Cheers.